Hello, good morning. Ha-ha. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, awaken the consciousness. Penny,
Yes.
it's April.
I know. I'm so excited, and Easter's not too far away, too.
I was just going to mention it.
Big fan of the bunny.
Good. Glad to hear that.
And eggs and chocolate and all the other good stuff.
Eggs and chocolate.
Yeah,
and fun
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday. She's like, I have to get off of here right at the end of the session because I have to go color eggs. I went, oh, okay.
It was
with
one
the
of my
grandkids.
Yeah, it was
right?
one of my favorite things to do growing up. And then I figured out the little trick on how to make like hollowed eggs, to like blow out all of the egg. It took a while, but I figured it out. You just put little holes on each end, and then you just have to be patient and blow.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. When I grew up, this is giving my age away. Easter was a big deal, and we, I'm the seventh of 8 children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I come from a big family, but Easter was a big deal because we got a new Easter dress, and we always got a new pair of black patent leather Mary Janes. People know what that is.
It's like they were the flats with the one strap, right?
Yeah, with the one strap that went over.
I've seen. Mm-hmm.
And we would for a while we even got Easter bonnets and gloves. You had to wear little gloves.
Aww.
I know, isn't that sweet?
Probably
And then
so adorable.
there was always we would go to church and have an Easter egg hunt. Go put that together, people.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It was great. Yeah, have a big meal, everybody get together. So for me, holidays are really about the family.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, and having some fun. So anyway, happy Easter, everybody. And apparently, so that means tomorrow's Good Friday. Oh boy. Yeah. There's lots of stuff going on. So enjoy your families and enjoy everybody. I am Loretta Brown, like I said. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area for almost 30 years. I do have a Reiki Masterclass coming up this Saturday, April 8th. And my monthly class for women will be Saturday, April 22nd. And you can sign up for everything at schedule.reikioasis.com. A big shout out to my patrons. I am a listener-supported show. So welcome to April, as I said. Goodbye, March Madness, and hello, apparently here in the Seattle area, to April showers and all kinds of things.
With possible May flowers, right?
With possible May flowers.
There we go.
And there might be snow flurries.
No, we don't want to say that. We're done.
One of my friends posted a funny thing yesterday, and it was Santa Claus delivering Easter eggs in the snow, and he says, well, it was confusing, right?
That's great. I love it.
I thought it was cute. So anyway, April, just a general overview, brings the start of eclipse season with a new moon total solar eclipse in Aries on the 19th. Until then, all planets are still direct. So get stuff done in the next couple of weeks. I really mean it. Once those planets start to go retrograde, Mercury is the first of them, the planet of communication. And it's also got kind of a weird aspect around the April 20th, and it could be just sort of, I don't know, difficult energy. Always remember you're greater than the stars, and you get to make choices, right? Maybe you'll make some good ones. I don't know. There's always hope. You never know, right? So so due to the energies though of this month, I want to say something. It's very likely that a new chapter will begin in your life. Maybe some of you need that. Maybe some of you that shakes you to the core. Change is not a bad thing, but boy, it can really bring stuff to the surface, right? You may feel the need to pause, especially when it comes to making decisions. And as we reach the month's end, we are still deep in the transformative eclipse energies because we're going to head for a Scorpio lunar eclipse on May 5th. On April 3rd, Mercury moved out of Aries into Taurus. I'll put it into English, right? This is going to slow things down a bit. Aries is fire, Taurus is earth. So it's going to kind of quiet things down, I hope, ground that fire a little bit and help us become still, find the stillness within, because that is where you find clarity and your connection to the God and the divine. On April 5th, the sun conjunct Chiron, a beautiful healing energy. And it helps us, believe it or not, have appreciation for the woundedness that we have gone through to get us to where we are today. It can be painful to shine a light on our woundedness, but you are never alone. God, the angels are always there. And Chiron, that little asteroid, teaches us that while some wounds may never leave us, they can be the birthplace of something beautiful. And we are still underneath the beautiful energy of the full moon in Libra, which happened yesterday and today, depends on where you're at on planet Earth. And this also brings very strong healing energy. This moon is called by many names. One of them is the pink moon. And I love that because I went out walking and the cherry blossoms are blooming. And if you haven't been to the University of Washington to see the cherry blossoms, oh my goodness, they're startlingly beautiful. And this moon in Libra brings balance, healing breakthroughs, and allows us to find the strength, compassion, and awareness that our wounds initiate us into. Sounds like a theme here. The full moon may also shine a special spotlight on partnerships, relationships. And of course, Venus in Taurus, romance is in the air for all of you lovers out there. I'm definitely a romantic. You may find yourself wanting to release your attitudes or draw closer, or look at your patterns in your behavior, in your relationships that need a little bit of work. It's awfully hard to say, oh, maybe I could show up a little better or work a little harder, or maybe I could just be more loving. And this full moons are illuminations. They're lights in the sky that shine, allowing us to do that deeper work. And so get ready this next week, Tuesday, Aries, the sun conjuncts Jupiter in Aries. And this happens every year, but it brings abundance, prosperity, expansive energy into our lives and helps us see things with greater clarity. I think all of that lays the perfect backdrop for my guest today, Mark Petruzzi, author of Rockets in the Sky, One Man's Journey of Healing the Loss of a Child. Mark's son, Nick, was having terrible headaches. And as parents often do, they said, oh, go to school anyway, you'll be fine, right? When the headaches worsened, they took Nick to see his pediatrician and then a doctor and then specialist. And it was too late. And it was misdiagnosed, and Nick passed away at the young age of 12 from a rare type of brain cancer. Mark began writing in his journal in January of 2019 to see if he could heal through the actual terrible, unmentionable loss of his son, Nicholas. And, sometimes we do these things. He simply did it to see if he could survive, because how do you make it through? Mark's going to share his story in a minute. After 2 years of writing, he realized he could and he would survive through the people he met, the mediums, the signs, and the sightings of Nicholas. His days got a little easier. In Rockets in the Sky, Mark shares his struggles with his faith in God and his grave disappointment in science. Yeah, and how they both let him and his son down. And he kept the right people close, found the right tools to help regain and strengthen his faith in God, renew his belief in science, and most importantly, reconnect with Nicholas. Welcome to the show, Mark. It's so great to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. For those people watching and for all those listeners, I'll just let you know I'm showing a cover of his book, Rockets in the Sky. I love this book, and
Thank you.
From my heart to yours, thank you for your courage and your vulnerability and putting it out there. One thing I know, and it startled me, like I've interviewed other people, to include Joe McClellan, In Search of Christopher on the Other Side. Yeah. And I'm going to say this, anytime I do this, it comes home to me again, how many people lose children. And it's a unmentionable subject. It's a tough subject. So everybody listening, I just want to take a moment. Everybody join hearts. I'm going to join with your heart, Mark. We're just going to breathe together for just 1 second. And I want to bring in that beautiful energy of the divine in order to lift this message to the level that it needs to be, because I know your son is here also. Yeah. Yeah. So take a breath. Here we are, rockets in the sky. So could you please share your story?
Yeah, if you want me to start with Nicholas, back in April of 2017,
I do.
he started having a headache, and he was throwing up with it. We didn't think much about it. We just felt like, maybe he had a stomach flu, something like that. And 2 weeks later, he got another headache and vomiting with that as well. And we're like, "Man, that's just weird," because that normally, doesn't happen. Usually you kick a bug and that's it. And then 2 weeks later, it happened again. And then we were like, okay, we got to send him to his pediatrician. And they did some tests on him, blood work and head CT scan to make sure nothing was going on inside his brain. Everything came back positive, but they wanted us to see a specialist, a neurologist, which we did in July of 2017. He was still having headaches every couple of weeks, and the duration of the headaches were getting longer. In April, it was like 2 hours. By July, it was like 10. So it was really affecting his quality of life. He couldn't really play much. He was in the house when he had a headache. He was there all day. So we got him to see the neurologist in July. And he was saying that he really doesn't have enough headaches, to really warrant seeing a neurologist. Usually the neurologist sees patients with 7 to 10 headaches a week. And Nick's only have like maybe 4 at this time. So he said, maybe do some therapy, maybe have him see a therapist, maybe he's stressed out. And I felt kind of like that's weird because it's summertime. Kids are out of school. There's no pressure. You should be enjoying summer. So it's kind of weird he suggested that, but we went with it, found him a therapist. And in August, he had a bad headache, and that took away his ability to see and speak and move. And that scared us. So that was his first trip to the emergency room. And they did more tests. And they felt like at that point he had spinal meningitis. And I was trying to, tell the doctor, no, he's been dealing with this since April. I don't think it's meningitis because that doesn't last that long. It's just, he said, well, we got to rule it out. So they did more tests on him, sent him to another hospital a couple hours later to do more testing. And, it turned out he obviously didn't have spinal meningitis. They diagnosed him with some sort of migraine with aura, and they put him on Depakote, which is a drug that helps prevent migraines and seizures. They felt he had a seizure. So the hospital felt like we should bring him back to the neurologist that he saw in July, and we did. And the neurologist had the opportunity to do an MRI to get a closer look, but he decided not to do it. And that was, in hindsight, that was, he really needed the MRI because he had something going on that, was more serious than just, a couple migraines. So he said, if anything changes, come back to me. And of course, we'll go from there. Nick started developing back pain in the end of August. We put him on prednisone. His pediatrician put him on prednisone for that. And he seemed to get really a lot better, like no headaches, no back pain, no vomiting. And he had really a couple good weeks where we felt like, wow, okay, this is getting good. We're getting Nick back, no more headaches. That's a good thing. You can't stay on prednisone, you have to get weaned off it. You can't stay on forever. So as he came off, he got a couple more serious headaches in the middle of September. And his last one, we brought him back to the emergency room, and that headache put him in a coma. And they didn't know why. He had hydrocephalus that was undiagnosed. And that took away his quality of life. And a couple of weeks later, we had to remove him from life support because he was going to be left in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. And he ended up dying in October 18th, 2017. And we had to do, obviously, a autopsy to find out what caused the swelling of the brain. And it turned out to be this rare form of brain cancer. It came in like 2 months after he passed. So, he went with not being diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. So your story, and like I said, I read your book and cried through the whole thing and laughed because it's
sorry in a way.
Oh, no. This is human. This is real.
Yeah.
Right. But if I understand you correctly, from the moment of his first headache until he passed away was how long?
Less than 6 months. Less than 6. So they, at the autopsy, they said that his tumors, it was, they gave the cancer a name, diffuse leptomeningeal glionormal tumor, abbreviated DLGNT. So these tumors are dispersed throughout the brain and they spread down the spine. That's why he was getting back pain. And they're very small. So the head CT scan can't pick it up. The MRIs that he had done really knew something was there, but they were so deep inside his brain, they couldn't really test anything. So the MRI didn't know what was going on. So it's kind of like a hidden cancer in a way. So
I have to ask you a question, and please forgive me, but did your son pass away from this rare brain cancer? Or did he pass away from hydrocephalus?
Well, it was, so that's where it gets kind of complicated.
Yeah.
In my opinion and lawyers' opinion, it was, it was undiagnosed. So with this cancer, as crazy as it is being hidden, for whatever reason, these tumors mess around with the fluid in your brain, causing the hydrocephalus. So normally when you have hydrocephalus, it's normally an exterior injury that creates that kind of swelling of the brain. When it's interior, they usually have a way to fix it. If it's interior, exterior, they put shunts in, they put you on medicine. And in some cases, if it's bad enough, they'll remove the skull. In Nick's case, with this cancer, as crazy as it is, the hydrocephalus came and went on its own. So it kind of like fooled the doctors in a way where they were saying, well, he's better, so it's not serious, because we know if it's hydrocephalus, we got to do something to relieve that pressure. So this type of cancer, kind of, fools, in a way, it fools the doctor, and that's led to, that misdiagnosis in a way. But they still could have, hydrocephalus was present on the head CT scans and they just missed it. And that shouldn't happen. And that really, you have to be on your A game with this type of cancer. And there were doctors that just weren't on their A game.
Yeah. As I read your book, I kept kind of following through, and you, like I said, I really love the way you read the book. It brings it to the real living level of life, and you kind of fill in the gaps of what it is that happened in the storyline, like when did this happen and when did that happen, and why was it that it just kind of kept going on and they weren't really discovering anything. There's something else here, and I kept thinking about it when I was reading the book. We all hope we can believe in our medical care and our science, but I kept getting the feeling that you were kind of being brushed off a little bit, or people are minimizing the headaches. Could you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. So, doctors, will play the statistics. Nick was rare. He was extremely rare. The World Health Organization really was the only organization following this type of cancer. It's not seen in our population a lot. And it might have been the only time that the Philadelphia tri-state area has seen this type of cancer. And he was Nicholas was getting care from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is one of the top hospitals for pediatric cancer in the United States. So it's not like he didn't have the care there. It's just that this cancer, these tumors, they didn't really know much about. And like I was saying, the World Health Organization was following this type of cancer since the 1940s. And they only had 60 reported cases worldwide since 1940 till now. And just recently, they've been studying the tumors to enough to know that in 2016, they decided that they were malignant tumors, not benign. So the doctors, it was, just a tough situation for everybody to be in.
Yeah.
For me, I still felt like Nicholas he could get diagnosed with this. There's 3-4 children in the United States now that have this, and they're all diagnosed. As I was reading up on it, everybody was getting diagnosed. So now I'm like, obviously I'm reaching out and questioning science at this point, and the doctors, and did they do the care that Nick deserved to have, So it was a battle, just as closure, I needed to do that though, because I'm here with a 12-year-old son that passed away from brain cancer. Okay, so how does that happen that it doesn't get diagnosed? And, as I studied up on it, now I'm trying to become a neurologist all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh man, this is some of the, just some of the words they use, and just reading all the papers on this, it was like, all right, just give me like the layman's terms, because it's really hard to follow. Tough cancer. It was tough. And science, in my view of science, was definitely, skewed there, in a way.
Well, my take is that you did not have time, 6 months from start to finish, and then you don't even find out until 2 months after he's passed what was really going on. That's too fast. There is no way to process it. And I'm thinking about how, okay, so then he's got these headaches, and, in your book, you talk about how, a couple of weeks before he goes into a coma, you guys are out doing things.
Yeah, we were at the Phillies game 3 days before he went into a coma. We were at Hershey Park, and we were riding roller coasters till 10 o'clock at night. And we, I had the neurosurgeon was saying, that's a blessing, because most kids are just in the hospital getting tests and getting chemo and getting all this stuff. And Nick, kind of fell through that crack in a way that was positive. I try to draw positive, and so was the doctors, that at least we got that time with him before he died.
Yeah, you did. You were graced with it. Part
of me wanted to know he had cancer, because I wanted to be able to get him the pain medicine that he needed to deal with that. And then another part of me didn't want to know, obviously, and it's kind of tough. It's like a tug of war, it's like part of me wanted to know so I could help him. And then there's another part of me that's just thankful that we got to go to Hershey Park, before he went,
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. Man, that is a double-edged sword right there. Do I want to know?
Yeah.
Do I not want to know? And of course it came down as it did. But yeah, I also feel a certain sense of, I don't know, gratefulness that you got to enjoy him as long as you could. And
Absolutely.
then boom,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things I could say about that. I want to tell people, honestly, if you've lost a child, and I know so many people that have, if you know someone who's lost a child, or rockets in the sky, we're going to talk about the name of the book in a minute, but this to me is like the taboo subjects. So he passes away, which is unacceptable, but real, right?
Yes.
And then you and your wife and your other children have to try to deal with this.
Yeah, and it's real, and it puts a lot of stress on a marriage. It puts a lot of stress on your relationship with your kids, and the kids get kind of lost in the shuffle. Everybody's so into making sure mom and dad are okay, and the siblings kind of get lost in the shuffle, and they're suffering just as much. So it was a dark time for all of us after Nick passed.
I've spoken with other people who will share with me that they lose track of time, that they go into this space and they're just like, I don't know what year it is.
Well, yeah, for me, time was just standing still, and the pain that you're in, it's like you just want time to move faster. If I always said to my family members, I always said the further we get away from October 18th, 2017, the better we are. But those first couple weeks, it just years. The toll it takes on you physically. I can't believe my heart was beating through it all. I wake up in the morning listening to my heart go, and I'm like, don't you understand? Don't you get this? Stop beating, just stop. And it just knows no better. It has to get that blood to the brain. It's got to function. That's its job. It doesn't care about your emotions. It's got one job, get that blood through the body. And I was like, stop. Please stop. But,
Yeah, I'm a musician.
Part of the emotions.
Yeah, I'm a musician. And sometimes I think of that heartbeat as like that metronome, just.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah.
Calm down now. Just calm down.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're going to take a little station break. This is Loretta Brown. My guest today, Mark Petruzzi, Rockets in the Sky, One Man's Journey of Healing the Loss of a Child. And please don't go away. Come back. When we get to the other side of this break, we're going to talk about the writing of this book, which is really Mark's journal, and what happened after all of this. And so don't go away. We'll be right back.
All right. All clear.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Hi, this is Eric Ryder, Operations Manager for 1150 AM KKNW. We value your opinion and invite you to 1150kknw.com to fill out the 2023 KKNW Listener Survey. Your responses help us to shape KKNW to your listening needs. As an added incentive, when you fill out the survey, you'll have a chance to win an awesome prize. Complete contest details and your opportunity to help us shape this station can be found at 1150kknw.com.
Alternative Talk 1150, here to uplift your day.
Ready to come on back? All right, here we go.
Woohoo! Benny, you're just spot on, Rocket Man, for sure. Absolutely. Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my amazing guest, Mark Petruzzi, my brave, courageous guest. And I want to remind people that these shows are archived at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast One, Megaphone, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. We're everywhere. So please go find the show, listen to it again and again. And I encourage you to get Rockets in the Sky, Mark's book. Now, before the break, we are talking about a very difficult subject, but a very necessary, helpful subject. And I think both of us, both Mark and I agree, we just want to grace you with this today. And maybe there's something in this show that you really need to hear. So talking about how quickly all of this happened and then the aftermath for you. I noticed that so Nicholas passed away in October of 2017. You started journaling in 2019. What led you to journaling?
Well, right after Nick died, I wanted to immediately make contact with his spirit. So I started reading up on subjects of near-death situations where I just wanted to make sure we had a soul. So I wanted to read up on people that died and left their body and write about that. And I found a lot of comfort in that because I just want to make sure, first of all, we had a soul. And then I always wanted to make contact with Nick immediately because, it's just, I miss him so much. So I started reading up on how to see spirits. And wherever I read, it was always the forefront. The main principle behind it all was meditation. So I began meditating and I took a lot of classes on meditation. Amy and I, my wife and I, Amy and I went to mediums. I'm a very skeptical person, but now you lose a child, you're going to do whatever it takes to, make contact. And if they could do it, I'm on board. So we started seeing mediums. I found one medium who was an intuitive medium named Rich Bracconi, and he really helped me. I mean, he just immediately picked up on Nick, and, he had this saying, we all can do this. We all can make contact with the other side. And that geared me in because a lot of times mediums will tell you, oh, I have a gift. Rich is like saying, I don't have a gift, but I want to help you because we all can do this. And then I bought right in. So I started taking a lot of courses with him, classes with him, learning how to be an intuitive medium. As crazy as that sounds, I'm going from being a skeptic to now reading people, kind of interesting stuff. But along my way, I started getting a lot of sightings from Nicholas. Meditation really helped me to connect with him. And I was really buying into it. And I was pleasantly surprised on how well I was connecting with Nicholas. And I think 2 years into it, I wanted to be hypnotized. I saw, an old movie on TV called Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. And, he got hypnotized, and through his hypnosis, he kind of like got to the other side. And that always interested me. So I figured, all right, so I'm into meditation. So now let me get into self-hypnosis. And that was in the beginning of 2019. I started learning about that. And while I was doing that, the person that was teaching me, he also was a therapist. And he started really getting me to believe in writing a journal so I could heal through writing. And so he handed me a notebook and I started writing. And I started healing through my writings. And so the book I wrote from 2019 to 2021. And at the end, I started reviewing what I wrote. And I said, well, I think I can help other people, from what I wrote. And so I, wrote a manuscript. Took me 6 months to go through everything. And in August, I met Lisa Hagen. And that was 2021. And we spent a year on it with an editor. And the book just, got released in August of 2022. So that's kind of like that little journey there with writing and how I got into journaling and writing. I meditate before I write, so I make sure my heart is, where it needs to be. So I'm hoping that what I wrote, people understand that that's coming from meditation, a session of meditating, coming out of that. I just didn't write, I kind of like wanted to make my heart in the right place when I wrote. So,
I love what you just shared. To me, it is the key to the whole thing. And I agree with you. Anybody can do it. Everybody is,
everybody should
quote,
be into meditation. Yes.
everybody can do it. And
Yes.
I kind of mentioned earlier in the astrology report, but it is a part of my everyday life. You have to come to the quiet, still place, because you can't hear anything if you're in the clamor of the world. So getting into that altered brainwave pattern, going deeper, good on you for doing that and taking it on. I also, you didn't say this, but I also journal all the time, and always encourage people to do it, because it helps us. I don't know. Probably you started it going, whatever.
That's exactly. Yeah, I was like, I haven't wrote anything since high school, and we're 30 some years later, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And then after a couple months, I was like, all right. And I didn't really start right away journaling about Nicholas. That didn't happen until a couple months later, and I found the strength to do it. And actually, the chapter 2 years ago, 2 years ago today is, and it wasn't, obviously it was okay to write it in the journal, but when I had to do the manuscript, it was, that was really difficult because I was reliving everything, again, and I had to really spend a lot of time with it. So difficult book to write. It really was. It was hard. I almost gave up on it because at moments it kind of destroyed me to, go throw it on. Very difficult to get that book out there.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I thank you for doing it. And also to Nicholas, thank you, because I know he's helping you. So what are some of the signs? Yeah, he's here. He's like, I'm on the radio.
I'm surprised he didn't do something wrong. Usually he's messing with me.
Well, I actually was half expecting it.
But when Benny said, "Oh, you'll be on cue," I'm like, I don't know if I'll be on cue. Or do you want me to push something, because Nick is going to be messing with me, and you might just not be getting my picture right now.
Right, exactly.
But it worked out good. He was merciful to me, so.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's really good. What are some of the signs that you receive from Nicholas to let you know he is around?
Yeah. Well, the first sign came about a month after he passed, and it wasn't. I was reading up on meditation stuff, doing my thing, making sure I can make contact with him, and so it was early in the morning, and I got up. I went into our kitchen and I was checking my cell phone for, emails and text messages, getting myself ready for the workday. And I'm there messing around with the phone, and all of a sudden I hear the bedroom door slam against the wall or against the doorstop. And I'm like, oh, well, Amy must be up, and she's probably not happy if the door is making that kind of sound. So I kind of like looked down the hallway, and our bathroom is almost right across from our bedroom. And Amy was already in the bathroom. So I'm like, all right, so what's that all about? So Amy dropped something in the bathroom. I said, okay, it was Amy. Amy's making the noise. It doesn't sound the same way, but still, okay, I'm going to do science here, and I'm going to explain this away. So I went back to my cell phone and messing around with the cell phone, and a voice in my head just said, go down the hall and look at the bedroom door. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go down the hall. I know it was Amy. She's, getting a shower, getting ready for work. Don't have to go down the hall. Go back to my phone. The voice gets a little stronger, says, listen, you really need to go down the hall and look at this door. You got to look at the bedroom door. I'm like, nope, I know Amy made the sound. So I'm going through arguing with myself. And then finally, I go back to the phone, and I'm telling you, the voice was louder and said, if you don't go now, you're going to miss it. I said, fine. I'll go down. I'll look at the door, So I walked down the hallway, I look at the door and it's open and it's against the doorstop. It opens to my left as I'm staring at the door. And the door starts to move. And not slow where I'm like, is it moving? And it didn't slam, which it probably should have, but it just constant and really good. It was going to close. So I reach out before it closed. I'm like saying to myself, you gotta be kidding me. I reach out, as soon as I grab the door, my whole body just starts chills and everything. And I could just feel the energy in this door. And I just knew Nick was saying, listen, I know you're having a hard time with me dying. I'm going to help you a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not going to let you know that there's life after death. You're still going to be able to explain this away with science, but I'm still going to mess with your mind, and I'm going to mess with you. So you might be thinking it's me, which I believe it is. And that was really the foundation of, the first sign that Nick gave me. And it couldn't have come at a better time because I was really in a bad place there. I really was, I don't want to say suicidal. It's easy to say that, but it wasn't good. So, but that was the first, and I had, and there's a lot, and I write about a lot of the sightings and the things that he's doing. My family as well, my daughters, my wife, they, we all know that Nick is around us. But that's the first one. That's the one I always go to because that's the foundation of it all. And that really encouraged me to really get into it. From there, I was on board. Now I got it. Now I know that he's there because there's no way I can, I looked at the door, seeing if it was out of level. I turned the heat off to the house, turned it back on to see if the airflow would suck and move it. That door hasn't moved before and it hasn't moved since.
Yeah. Okay, so while you were talking, I don't know if you saw me look to the side somewhere in there. My bedroom door just shut. I'm at home right now, and there's no one here, so I'm not going to go look.
No.
But I got goosebumps.
There you
go. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
So there you go.
No. I might have to put that in my journal.
Okay, my whole back of my head.
I'm getting chills.
Me too. I'm like, okay. Wow. So thank you. Okay, so I'll show his picture because he's like, show my picture. There's his picture. There's your beautiful boy.
Thank you.
He's kind of a pistol. Anyway,
good sense of humor.
Tell us a little bit about your boy.
Nick is man, he just we had two girls up front, and I always wanted all boys, but you have two girls, and we always waited till the baby came out and the doctor said girl, boy, whatever, because we wanted to be surprised. But after the third one, we decided to change it up a little bit, and we went for an ultrasound. And when the doctor said it was a boy, we just both were just, thank God not three girls, no, but no, it was nice. It was a great feeling to just know that we were going to have a son. And Nick really just was a big part of our family. He made our family work. I mean, he just was a joker. He was always, he had such a great sense of humor. He always goofing off, always torturing us. So they were all close, real close in age, but they were really close. And, it just was always fun. We just had so much fun as a family. And he was just wonderful at making friends. He always wanted to be a friend. He always wasn't thinking of himself. He always thought of others. Even up to the day he passed, he was always thinking of other people in the hospital. Let the doctors take care of them first. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And even as a 12, I usually get that from my parents saying that. A 12-year-old kid saying, don't worry about me. Help them. And that was Nick. Nick was always wanting to make friends, always smiling, had a great smile, goofy smile, and just a great kid. Loved to play sports. He was more into basketball than he was in baseball, but in my opinion, he played baseball better. But he had more friends playing basketball, and that's why he liked playing basketball. More of his friends, his close friends were playing basketball with him. So But played video games, and we got 12 wonderful years out of the little guy. So I'm thankful for that. I thank God for that every day. I do, for the 12 years, because I know, I think about it all, with parents. Some parents want to have kids and they just, maybe it's difficult for them. And I try to look at the positives with the 12 years, and I'm thankful for it. And he's just a great kid. Such a great addition to our family, and he is sorely missed.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about the number 13.
Number 13, yeah. So Nick, last year basketball, they were handing out jerseys. Nick got the number, I think 19. And one of his close friends got the number 13. They're all in a group, and I'm like 20 feet away looking at the coach hand out all the jerseys. And Nick's friend got the number 13, and he wasn't happy with it. But, everybody associates 13 with bad luck or whatever. And I get that. So he's like all upset, and Nick goes over to him, and I'm witnessing the whole thing. And I'm like shaking my head, Nick, don't do it. Because I know what he's going to do. I know he's going to give his jersey what it is. I'm like, don't do it. Just stay with 19. Don't, but his friend didn't want it at first. And then Nick kind of shoved the jersey into his chest, and his friend said, okay, I'll take it. So they exchanged jerseys. And, obviously after Nick passed, they took the jersey and hung it, above the scoreboard. But it wasn't the original jersey. They actually framed that one for us. So it was hanging in his bedroom, but now that's my grandson's bedroom. So now we have it in the big room. So it's hanging there. So that's the number 13. And I base a lot of my sightings and my connection with Nicholas through that number.
Yeah. 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 I'm kind of being with the sweetness of that. Yeah. And also, for some reason, he wanted you to tell that story, right? Are you continuing with your studies to become an intuitive medium?
I am not at this time. I'm really just concentrating on writing. But I mean, it's very interesting, and I was having a lot of success with it, but I really spent more time journaling and writing and wanting to be a writer at this time. Still obviously heavy into meditation.
Yeah.
But right now, kind of shy person, I still need the confidence, like Rich Bracconi always tells me, just whatever comes into your mind after you're done your meditations, just write it down, you will connect. Yeah, and it's hard to do that in a way. It takes a lot of practice, but he's right. It really does. It's amazing how we're all connected, and we could connect really well through meditating. We really can, in a way. That's my experience. But at this time, I'm not pursuing that. I'm more into to writing at this point, and just really perfecting how to be into meditation and self-hypnosis, being spiritually learned, right? So I spent a lot of time with love, going out and expressing love to everybody, and charity, being charitable, and not telling the truth, being honest. And I find I get a lot of contentment out of doing that. It makes me feel good when people have a positive response. But right as of now, still working construction, still a project manager at Knoll Builders in Haddonfield, where I live. So that takes up a little bit of my time. But down the line, I haven't ruled it out. So
there's so many things I would love to ask. I'm like, where do I go? Because I want to ask a couple of things. How did you hold your family together? How did your family stay together? How did you all make it through this?
That was Amy. That was my wife. Yeah. I was gone, and she held it together. So it was all her. It's everything that we are today was because of her. So,
wow. Thank you. Thank you to Amy. Thank you so much. What advice do you want to share with other parents or family members who have lost a child?
They're there. They're right by your side, and you just have to look for it. And use the tools to do so. And I really believe in meditation. I really believe you will connect with your loved one. If you feel like there isn't a soul in you, I get it because you can't see it. And I understand that, but it's there. They're there. And, they're not, it's very, for me, it's very subtle. It's no like big things going on, but, it's important to not give up on, looking for those signs, even though it might be, if you're skeptical, you're obviously saying, well, science, has got this covered. That's fine, But my advice to parents is meditation. I believe that if you lost a loved one, a child, a grandparent, a parent, a friend, family member, brother, sister, meditation, I would say, is key to, if you're really struggling, my advice to you is get into meditation and do it today.
When, because you went to see psychic mediums.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of skeptical people out there. I am not one of them.
Right.
Too many experiences. I give it up.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it. Yeah.
But did they say anything to you that helped you or your family? Anything stand out in that?
I mean, we saw our first meeting. We saw Kim Durham. She was very good. I mean, we had to and she even said, you're going to want to record this or you're going to want to write it down because your mind is so in tune with the person you want to see that you're going to miss things. And we didn't connect at all with her. We just kept saying, no, we don't recognize this. And she's really being like, are you sure? And after we got back home, we listened to the tape and we were like, oh my word, that happened this morning. Oh my word, that happened right before I left the car to walk in to see her. And, it's almost like we got to call her back because she really felt bad. She was like, I know I can do this. I know I have this gift. And we kept totally so scared of that. It just,
you're like, yeah,
I feel bad. I feel bad for, psychics and stuff because they're really on. They really are on. And your mind just is geared to Nicholas, but maybe it's my mom or my dad that wants to say hi, right?
Yeah.
Every time I go to my parents' gravesite, which is real close to Nicholas's, and I never went to their gravesite after they passed because I wasn't in. I just felt like they were in heaven and that was good enough. I didn't need to go. But I remember going to Nicholas's gravesite and I said, well, let me go over and see my parents. I'm telling you, as soon as I walked up to their gravesite, I could swear I hear my mom say, sure, you want to come see us now? Yeah, I get it. You came to see Nick, so now you want to see us all of a sudden. Okay. So it's all, it's amazing how spirits and souls just really reach out to you. But for Kim, I felt sorry because, she really did a good job. And we felt like after we left, she was horrible. It turned out she was really right on everything. And we were just, that's one of the reasons why I might not want to go into this. Because, it's like you're looking at people, I got this, but you're not connecting with it. And I get why you're not. You want to go somewhere else and the spirits don't want you going there.
Yeah.
So
I've been to psychic mediums before, and I've also gone to, it's not my favorite venue, is a big group of people, right? It's very showy for me, but I've actually sat in crowds where the psychic medium has got specific information and they're looking at a corner of the room and no one's jumping up. And then pretty soon someone's going, oh, I think that's me. And I'm thinking, what is happening here, right? They even have the name,
The name's right there, and all of a sudden it clicks, And
they're like,
I don't want to talk to them. Well, guess what? They want to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we are down to the last minute, which is crazy. So is this the time to talk about the drunken prophet, or we'll save that for next time?
Oh, the drunken prophet. You can say that for next time, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you guys want to know what that is, you're just going to have to get the book Rockets in the Sky.
Yeah. You have to steal my ideas. Start drunken prophet everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. You're writing another book?
I'm still journaling, right? And I
Okay.
got a couple
All right.
manuscripts going on, and
All right.
yeah,
So we got to close up the show.
Yeah.
Anything? Any last thing you want to say to people?
yeah. I just want to say that the book really, is everyday life. It's a journal, right? So it's about me carrying the loss of my son as I'm going through everyday life, and I have been getting a little feedback like, it really doesn't help me. Well, I want to say that it's not so much as a help book as it is just raw writing from my part to let you know what I was going through and some of the tools that I found to help me through it.